So we were in the Cape, and we go to Water Whiz every time. It's this amazing water park. It's kind of like Sunsplash, except for it's enjoyable. And so it's the only difference. Because it's not, it's like 75 degrees. It's not 175 degrees, right? And so, and here's the thing, if you want to know about Scotty. Scotty loves the lazy river. That's my world. I do. So I'm going to get in. I'm going to do all the kid things. We're going to do all the water slides, try and kill Dad. We're going to do those things. But then there comes a point where Dad's going to get for the rest of the day on the lazy river. And I would stay there, I believe, forever. Unless you got me off the lazy river. Every day, it's like 4 hours in, and the kids are like, hey, right, time to go. And so they get me off of the lazy river. So we get in, and Holly and Baylor were going to come meet us up later. So me, Peyton, and Savvy got in, got the little tube, right? I'm all oiled up, so I just right in that tube, right? Nice and wedged in there. And I'm all on it, and the kids around. We hold on to the tubes for a little while. But then you kind of go into that lazy river slumber. Not a better sleep maybe in the world. As you're just slumbering, I'm kind of going over this message of Acts, and I'm just kind of there, just floating. I go into that deep sleep and in and out. And all of a sudden, I feel like something grabbed me and pulled me over to him. So I'm like, one of the kids, Savvy or Peyton, we're going to tube together a little bit. But the hand is soft. So I was like, it's a soft. So I was like, it must be Savvy. But then the hand went down, and then it did the couple's handhold on it. I was like, so I go, Holly must have found me, and she's sitting there. So we just sat there going down the river, just holding a hand, just relaxing. This is nice with the love of my life. And finally, and this has been a while now, like we've been holding hands for a while, kind of shake a little bit, and I kind of come out of that drowsy sleep, and I look over, and that's not my wife. 100% not my wife. I shake the hand off, right, and she snaps over, and she looks at me, and then she's like, what in the world? And I go, what do you mean, what in the world? What in the world? She goes, you're not my husband. I go, I know I'm not your husband. Right? She goes, where's my husband? I go, how would I know where your husband is? I don't even know your husband. I don't know. Why are you holding my hand? She's like, I didn't know. I thought that was my husband's hand. And then just then, her husband, who was on the other side of her, stood up in the lazy river. He's not a happy guy. He looks over and he goes, why? What in the world's going on here? I go, that's Michael. I don't know. He goes, why are you holding my wife's hand? I said, no, I wasn't holding your wife's hand. Your wife was holding my hand. And that didn't settle him down. I don't know why. He goes, why are you holding his hand? She goes, in an accent, I thought it was you. And then he looks at me, he goes, you thought he was me? And the way he said that, I guess we could go two ways. Maybe he thought I was super hot and sexy, and he's like, well, yeah, right, how would you mistake the two of us? Or it could have been the other way, right? And I'm thinking here, as this is getting escalated, I'm like, there's a chance that Livermore Bible Church is going to be watching me on TikTok, battling a guy at the Water Whiz, and you're like, is he baptizing him? Yeah, I'm baptizing him. Because it sounds like, and so she's up and in his bed, and she's like, no, it was a night. He's like, how do you accidentally hold somebody's hand? And I'm like, yeah, how do you accidentally hold somebody's hand? I don't even know what's, right? And finally, she gets him in the tube, and she's in the tube, but here's the problem. We're floating down the lazy river together, and they're still battling. And there's people up ahead and people behind, and so I'm trying to escape, right? But the problem is I got T-Rex arms, and so I can't reach the water very well. So I'm trying to paddle, but it's just not doing very, and so they're still going to town, and he's in that jealous guy mood where he's just, right, there's no reasoning, right, in that whatsoever. And when I thought about it later, I'm like, well, I get it. She looked over, I got no shirt on, I'm all oiled up, 53, right? I've got a nice pool of water right in the belly button, like everything is just really, this is hot, I get it. Like, I wonder why more women aren't holding my hand. And she just couldn't hold it back anymore. She grabbed my hand. I'm sure that's what happened, right? And so they're just going, and it's the most uncomfortable, and it's a long time as we're just floating and floating and floating. And what do you say? I'm like, hey, you should check out Amazon. Me and my wife have a Married for Life book. You guys may want to check that out. This is going to be good, right? Finally, we get to a little wide, like it splits off, and they go their way, and I go my way. And all of a sudden, the lazy river became great and amazing once again. Here's my point. Many of you, you're floating down the river of life, the lazy river that's supposed to be enjoyable and awesome and full of God's best, but you're dragging along with you in the tube next to you all of the garbage and the bad things and bad thoughts that you had before you got saved. And you wonder why you're not enjoying the river. Today's the day that you say bad thoughts and bad attitudes, you go that way, I'm going this way. Come on, somebody. I'm exchanging.